Today on CityCast Seattle, Seattle schools sheltering in place after unconfirmed ICE sightings, a new bill potentially affecting sex workers, and a proposal to deter dangerous climbing at Gasworks Park. But first, I don't know if you all have noticed, but there's this glowing orb in the sky, and I don't really know what's going on. It's been there for like multiple days. I don't know if it's going to stick around, but I want to know from you, Hannah Krieg, Seattle's reporter without a boss and founder of The Burner, what is the best thing to do on a sunny day or a string of sunny days, even?
Well, I love a January sunny day, and I love to wear my flared leggings and my short UGG boots and feel like a kaleidostal and walk around and maybe get a warm drink and pretend it's summer. So
Feel
that's
like
what I
a
do.
Clydesdale,
Yeah,
yes.
whatever that horse is called. I saw that on a tweet. That's not my joke.
Brett Hamil, writer, performer, and the cartoonist behind the weekly series Doom Loop. What do you like to do on a sunny day?
I mean, at this point in the year, it is your obligation as a person in Seattle to go out and experience the sunshine, whether you want to or not, whether you have work stuff to do or not. You actually have to. I mean, I think it's a valid excuse for missing work is the sun was out. That period.
Anyone who lives here will know it's like you got to capture it. And if you wait until the end of the workday, you're not going to get it. So if
That's
you
true.
can take your little lunch break, do a little walk around. You know, I was half hoping that one of you would be like, you be a troll and you stay inside in the dark like a real Seattleite. But I'm glad that both of you are advocating.
No, you
for...
have to absorb whatever trace elements of vitamin D it's possible to metabolize. It's bring your sunglasses
Correct.
because it's coming in at such an oblique angle that it's blinding at all hours of the day. But
Also
get out
correct.
there.
The other day I was like, why do I have a headache? And I'm like, oh, because I've been staring into the sun because I didn't wear sunglasses.
Don't
Because
do that. That's one
yeah.
thing you shouldn't do. As much as you feel the siren call of the sun,
I
don't
was
look
gonna say our
directly at it.
president did it and he's fine. All right, well, moving on to more serious news. On Tuesday afternoon, Seattle Public Schools sent out an email saying that several schools were sheltering in place in response to unconfirmed community reports of ICE sightings. By the end of the day, at least 6 schools had sheltered in place over the course of that school day. Brett, I know you've got a kid in school right now. Did you get that email? And also, do you know what shelter in place means?
Well, I live in South Seattle, so I know very well what shelter in place means because there's various gun activity happening randomly in the neighborhood.
I guess as a parent, you got to know.
So,
Yeah.
so surprisingly, my kid's school was not put into shelter in place, but they have been before for various things, whether it's someone being threatening on the sidewalk near the school or actual gunfire. So it's just we got an email afterwards from Seattle Public Schools warning us about it. And I also live near another one of the schools that was sheltering in place. So it's horrifying. It's terrifying. I live really close to my kids' schools, so it's going to fall on me as kind of a first responder if something does go down. Because you best believe I'm going to, blast through a brick wall to get my son out. But yeah.
Yeah. I know our producer Liam got this email. It looks like it came in the afternoon. In some cases, well after the shelter in place had been lifted. Yeah, from that email, it looks like shelter in place essentially means they've locked the exterior doors. But that otherwise kids are having a pretty normal day inside of the school. I have not had a chance to speak with any students who were actually in the schools at the time. Do we know if those students were even aware that there was something happening? Or are they alerted that something
They
happens?
they definitely know something's happening because they pull down the shades, they lock the
I
doors,
see.
they institute this protocol. At my kid's school, it's happened enough that it's like somewhat normalized at this point, although that doesn't
I
stop
hate
the
that.
kids from being freaked out and then going home and having, night terrors or whatever else. So it's just bad in general. And the fact that a federal agency is inflicting this kind of fear on little tiny kids, cute little apple-cheeked kids that are just trying to goof around with their buddies at recess or something is so incredibly infuriating that it's there. the other thing it made me think was we have to get our shit together. Minneapolis has already been going through this and has already organized in various ways, parents, pickups, drop-offs, etc. We've got to get up to speed, which we are. There are parent groups at my kids' school that are organizing ice watches. So there are people out watching for ice during drop-offs in the morning. They're organizing volunteers to go to court appearances with immigrant families, et cetera. So there is some organization going on, but it's going to have to become way more robust if this becomes more commonplace.
Yeah. I mean, in this particular case, the sightings that were reported by community members were unconfirmed, at least at the time of sending that message out to parents. But I think it really does reflect what a lot of people are feeling right now, lots of anxiety and just tension over sightings. I mean, there have, of course, been confirmed sightings and abductions elsewhere in town. I know over the weekend, a lot of folks were concerned that there could be a potential uptick in ICE presence, particularly in the U District. Hannah, what have you been hearing from people on the ground?
Yeah, I mean, just sort of with the nature of my job, I get like 40 DMs a day of some like, have you heard this rumor? Have you heard this rumor? Have you seen this? ICE in this neighborhood. And a lot of the part of like the responsibility we all have as people who all exist on the internet and all exist in community is like to make sure we're not sharing unsubstantiated reports or spreading that. And so a good like, if you hear about something and you want to share it online, that's like a really good impulse. I understand that, but make sure like the thing you're sharing is backed up by some kind of evidence, that there's photos, that there's dates, there's times. And like, if you yourself are seeing ICE activity, it's really good to make sure you're remembering do you guys know the acronym?
Salute. I was going to ask you to talk a little bit about
that. How the tables have turned. I was going to quiz you, but yeah.
I can never remember all of the letters.
Well, then it's not a very good acronym, is it? And salute is also a hard word to spell for me. I'm like, fuck, how do you spell this? But S is for size and strength. So how many ICE agents are there and what's their overall vibe? A is for activity. What are they doing? Are they patrolling in cars? Are they arresting people? L is for location. This is super important. You want to make sure your location is precise, not just Capitol Hill. You want to have the cross streets. And if they're moving, you want to make sure you know what direction they're moving in. Are they moving south? Are they moving north? Are they moving east, west, whatever? And then the next letter is U, and that's for uniform. And ICE often doesn't wear uniforms, but this is a good time to pull out your camera and take a picture of what they're wearing. Are they masked? Are they in tactical gear? What are they wearing? And then T is for time, and that also means date. And I would suggest if you are putting stuff on the internet, like in film or in photography, to put a timestamp on the actual footage so it doesn't get used to talk about, oh, this is happening right now in 4 weeks. Make sure that it's like you are continuing to set us in the place we are in. And then the last letter, I believe, is E, and that is for equipment. And that basically means, like, do they have weapons? Are they in a car? What's the license plate on the car, if you can get it, if they have a shown license plate? And if you can have all that information, and photo and video, that's a pretty confirmed ICE sighting. And make sure you are giving that information over to the Washington State
Immigrant Support Network.
Yep. Can't remember all the letters. I'm sorry.
Too many acronyms at play here, but we at least know the acronyms to look up if we don't remember what each individual letter stands for. Yeah, I feel like the time aspect of it is particularly important right now, because I've seen a lot of these posts shared on social media. And I mean, Instagram in particular is not great at telling you when things were posted, especially if someone is reposting it. Especially if it's more than a day old, it's really difficult to know maybe exactly when that person was putting that online. But yes, salute, which is also my favorite emoji lately.
It's a good emoji.
I mean, Brett, you mentioned that people have started talking about it, your school at least, maybe what to do in terms of just talking to each other. And I mean, in coming days here on CityCast Seattle, we're going to have more conversations with experts about ICE's presence in our communities. But it seems like this is only going to continue, especially if we look at what is happening in many other cities. Do you all know your neighbors? You all talk to your neighbors?
Some of them, parents are a good nucleus for this kind of thing. So starting out at school locations, parents talk during pickup and drop off. They have something in common and their kids might be friends or whatever. So that is a really good way to start building mutual support networks. But it's hard. This is Seattle. It's hard to know all your neighbors. People can be a bit standoffish. I think that it's better to err on the side of, hey, let's get organized. I'm going to invite people over for some cider or something and just talk this out. I do see some of that activity happening, although not enough yet. So we're going to have to get better at this for sure.
What about you, Hannah?
I know my neighbors. I live in an apartment building. I know everyone on my floor, and I know some people because I live right by the laundry room, and it's a Wi-Fi laundry, and so I let people use my Wi-Fi because it's easier to connect to the to the dryer and the washer. So
a real community connector.
I'm a
you gotta let them have
pillar.
the Wi-Fi. Yes, yes. Our producer Liam was saying that he has a WhatsApp chat with 30 parents and that he doesn't know them all, but for last minute plans, it seems like a good way to just kind of already have built the network a little bit to lay the groundwork so that like in a immediate emergency, you're not like, oh my God, I have no idea how to get in touch with my neighbors and tell them what's going on. I think one of my neighbors listens to this podcast. Actually, shout out Laura if you are listening. But I know my neighbors, they're all great. We have a text thread. All right, people, talk to your neighbors. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a new bill that's going to affect sex workers. So among the litany of new bills that have been introduced this legislative session, there's now a House Bill 2526, a new bill that is going to affect sex workers. So it defines, quote, commercial sexual exploitation as paying a fee or anything of value as compensation for sexual conduct. So essentially, it criminalizes buying sex work. And it fines people thousands of dollars for buying sex and puts those fines towards things like increasing law enforcement, as well as what they call prevention, like rehab and housing. I'm curious if you all have heard of this bill and also what you think it means about our assumptions about sex workers. So the bill's intro says that this bill is meant to protect the, quote, most vulnerable and the exploited.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of Democrats in Washington think they know shit about shit and think they know anything about sex work, and they have this preconceived notion of what a sex worker is, and that everyone who is, working in or everyone who's doing sex work is trafficked and is exploited, and it's like all work is exploitative. Some people are doing sex work by choice, and even if you didn't believe that and you were like had the super archaic view of sex work, it is also true that criminalizing buying sex does not help anyone. It pushes people into darker corners and pushes this work that does have a lot of risks and needs to be protected into even more dangerous situations. And it's just a pat yourself on the back and like a piece of pearl clutchers and then put a lot of women in danger for nothing.
This is also a great example of the sort of carceral austerity approach to governance versus a more root causes based attempt to find solutions. So when you have a governor who sets the stage by putting forth a oops all cuts budget, there's no money for anyone. So we can't deal with the conditions on the ground of sex workers that what they might be facing. It's just another that we see this in Seattle City Council too. There's a budget crunch, no extra money to spend, refusal to tap into the incredibly wealthy tax base in this city. So what do we get is they re-ban street racing or something. They show they're doing something resolute by like banning something else in a different way than was done before, which still does nothing to address the root causes. So we completely need to pivot away from that carceral austerity, scarcity mentality and approach for all of these things. The other thing is the Strippers Are Workers Washington, the organization where I learned about this, they made the point that, there's trafficking going on right now all over America. They're called ICE and Border Patrol. They are literally kidnapping and trafficking people to undisclosed locations where they have no legal rights or whatever. So this looks like small potatoes stuff that isn't going to move the needle at all.
I found it interesting that sex workers are organizing against this, saying, just as Hannah did, that criminalizing buyers does not end demand for the sex trade. It just makes it less safe. And also that potentially increasing the policing of buyers will increase the likelihood that police officers will somehow be involved. And that could make a situation more dangerous potentially.
Brett was saying, and it's so true, that this is so indicative of this like carceral and austerity mindset like intersecting. But Washington also just has like a purity problem where it's like we're so like grossed out by like everything. We see this with the like porn age verification bill that's coming up.
Yes.
We see this with the way we tax the fuck out of like anything we find sinful, like alcohol, nicotine. It's just like we just like are gluttons for punishment, and it's like we don't understand. And it's annoying because a lot of these people are like the people sponsoring this bill are like in deep blue districts. Like Lauren Davis is in Shoreline, and it's a safe Democrat district. She doesn't have to pander to any like Republican interest. She's being challenged by a progressive, and she should like do better than to introduce a bill that's going to endanger women. I think it's really a bad look for her.
To be fair, I think a lot of people have this almost puritanical view towards sex work, where if you don't know someone who's worked as a sex worker or you haven't thought about it, I think it is quite easy to imagine folks as, it's like, oh, these poor people that we must help. Like, surely they couldn't be doing this out of a sense of empowerment or even just as a way to make money, because a lot of people need to make money for various reasons, and there are various ways to do it.
It's worth pointing out that our current president rode to office on the QAnon conspiracy, on conspiracies about children being trafficked, abducted, assaulted, whatever. And he himself, is someone who has been involved in these things through Epstein. So that stuff just filters down to into our culture in weird ways where it becomes accepted as a given. I mean, it's hard to imagine that there aren't predators on every street corner when the entire leadership of our national, when the majority in Congress is protecting a sex criminal. So
where's Chris Hansen now?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I noticed about this bill, Hannah, you mentioned, there are people, representatives in deep blue areas who are supporting it. The person who brought another bill, which you alluded to, Hannah, that we've talked about on the show, it's HB 2112, which requires age verification for adult content online, potentially requiring people to actually just show their full government ID to watch porn, which is kind of a wild prospect in my mind. But Representative Levitt, who is a Democrat, also from University Place, was one of the sponsors of the sex work bill as well. I mean, what does this represent about our cultural moment here? Like, what is the through line in all of these assumptions about sex and safety and, this idea of protecting the vulnerable?
I mean, you've got platforms like Roblox, which are primarily used by young children, requiring photo, that my son told me that he had given them his biometrics. They said, you have to take a picture if you want to continue on to the game.
No.
So he had to do the full, turn this way, turn that way, biometrics without what
are they doing that for?
We have it set up so that I get notifications about anything. So that was the end of Roblox in this household, I must say. So you've got it coming from multiple directions. Do I want my kids' biometrics to be on file and tracked from a young age?
Is it to
and then
prove
on the other
that
end of it,
he's a kid? Like,
Yeah.
what's the idea there?
I mean, Roblox is such a sleazy platform that it could be any number of reasons, but more surveillance is almost never the answer for any of these things. And yeah, it's baffling. It's just, we've got these shiny new tools. We can track someone from the cradle to the grave now, like through the cell phone towers they pass, etc. Let's just go ahead and deploy them in like, shiny happy ways. Meanwhile, all the like more dark evil ways are right there accessing the same pool of information. It's never the answer.
I'm stuck on the Roblox thing.
Yeah. I wonder why they did that. But that's interesting.
We deleted it after that. I said, and he like got it, like, hey, this is not okay for them to do that.
No.
It does kind of feel like we're just like entering a like trad wife era where it's like,
Yes.
ladies, don't be in the streets, like be in the kitchen, like, and also show us your ID if you want to look at anything exciting.
Yeah. Literally. No, I just think it is like there's just like this through line in Washington, and it's not just Washington, but it has been a long time problem in Washington too with Democrats, is this like puritanical kind of idea, and it's these two laws just seem like straight out of like Project 2025, and a way that like there needs to be maybe some party discipline, about like this is inappropriate, this is like not what the Democrats in Washington should stand for. And if there's not party discipline, then it's like, damn, are any of these Democrats really like up to snuff?
It's also part of a gerontocracy problem. So we've got all these ancient relics, no offense to my elder friends out there, but people over 70 who there wasn't even television when they were born, who are now trying to do things to regulate this entirely new industry that sprang up in their lifetimes, which they never really figured out how to get a grasp on, and probably still need help from their grandkids logging onto Facebook. These are the people we're going to let make decisions about privacy, obscenity, etc., truth, fake videos. And these are also, as studies have repeatedly shown, the people who are most likely to fall for fake news online. And they're the ones that are pushing this.
And AI generated content. It's a difficult world to navigate, especially even if you are kind of a online native, right? Or like if you grew up with the internet, figuring out all of these twists and turns is quite challenging. And I do think that we need legislators who are maybe more up on that. I'm just thinking of that time that Rudy Giuliani thought he got hacked, but it was really just that he tweeted some random letters that ended up linking to a website. All right. Well, I do also hope that legislators actually listen to their constituents who are directly affected by this. It does seem like a lot of sex workers have spoken out against it. And we'll see what happens with it in coming days. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a new proposal for Gasworks Park. So the Seattle Times published a pitch from public artist John Fleming about revamping the fence around the old machinery at Gasworks Park. So as you all likely know, there have been several tragic accidents there over the years as people have climbed on the old equipment there and fallen. Most recently, a 15-year-old boy died last July doing that. So in the Seattle Times piece, there was a rendering of Fleming's potential design, which they described as a, quote, serpentine wall of colorful panels. So our producer, Liam, is going to drop it in the chat here. And I want you all to take a look and tell me what you're seeing and what your first reactions are to this. Brett, you are laughing.
I mean, it's kind of hideous, in my opinion. If it will prevent deaths, then okay. I mean, it's kind of hard to make a case that nothing about Gasworks Park can ever be changed when it itself is an industrial remnant that represents the changing functions of city land and such. But I don't know. It's kind of ugly to me.
Hannah, what are you seeing?
Is this fence just, is it bigger than the previous fence or just uglier?
So describe to me what you all are actually seeing and what about it you seem to not like.
It's kind of this garish, repetitive, like random geometric mash of just Roy G. Biv. I don't want to, like, I'm not an artist, so like I couldn't make anything better, but I'm confused at what this is helping and how this like complements the existing structure. I mean, I think maybe it should just like be more on theme, more steampunk, you know?
Yeah. So apparently Fleming told the Seattle Times that he finds the fence, quote, dispiriting, which is fair. I mean, it is.
That's
Visually
fair.
dominant, hostile in tone, and as the tragedies have made clear, no guarantee of safety. I mean, I'm kind of with you, Hannah, in that it does feel like, and if folks can, of course, go online and check out the image on the Seattle Times piece, we'll link it in the show notes. It is this kind of like rainbow geometric pattern. It does not really fit the vibe of the kind of more, industrial gasworks machinery. I mean, but yet, do we like it better than the fence that's already there? I do kind of agree with Fleming, too, that the fence is just kind of like, it's a fence.
The fence is ugly, but I like to see these big old things sticking out of the ground and look at all the different facets and details of them. By the same token, sometimes it's fun to have brightly colored things slapdash thrown around the city. I mean, I remember when the Experience Music Project was first constructed and people, some people were howling at how absolutely hideous it was. And I actually enjoyed that because I was like, yes, it's hideous and it's really neat and different. And they don't have this anywhere else. So I'm not gonna take a strong stance either way, I gotta say.
Yeah, I feel like when EMP first opened, people were very like weird about it, which is now Mopop for those who were not around during the EMP phase, which is what I still call it accidentally all the time. One of the other prospects that this new fence could bring is that the piece claims that it would be impossible to climb. That I am interested in. I mean, Hannah, you asked, like, is this bigger than the old fence? That I do not know. I mean, what would it take to build an impossible to climb fence?
This is a city of rock climbers. This is going to be immediate challenge. Also, like, it's going to immediately be tagged all to hell. So if you can live with that, which I definitely can, sure. I mean, I know through friends of one of the kids who was there that night and is forever completely and totally traumatized. Every kid that was there trying to climb this thing is like, that's something that you carry with for the rest of your life. So we really shouldn't take it too lightly. But, this is America where you have to put up signs everywhere saying, this is a cliff, do not fall off the cliff, etc. So
the coffee is hot. Don't drink it right away. Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of when the border wall was first put up in some areas, and the claims from the Trump administration were that they were unclimbable, and climbers, of course, then immediately had competitions to see not only if you could climb it, but how quickly you could climb it. And I believe the record was just a few seconds. So it's tough, but I do think, I mean, to your point, Brett, like it's a truly heavy scenario here where we really do want to make sure that more people are not hurt. And so there's been a lot of conversation over the years about whether to just remove the equipment entirely, to remove maybe even the fence and just let people explore it as art. Like maybe that I've heard this theory that perhaps something about it being forbidden makes it more interesting. It's really hard to know, to get inside the teen mind. I know that like as a teen, I definitely would have been the kind of kid who wanted to hang out there because I wasn't supposed to, But I mean, what is the way forward? Like, is it this colorful supposedly unclimbable fence. Should we just like let Henry do murals there? Like, I don't. What should we?
He's
do
already
with this?
dry washing his hands looking at that wall.
He's painting all the Yetis on there. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, make it safer. I mean, I think that it is really horrible that people climb up there and get hurt. They are already passing a fence, though, so it's like the will to pass a fence is already there. So I don't know, and to the point, I don't know how it could be unclimbable. But I mean, I'm all for safety, but I just don't foresee this working.
Let's go the other direction. How about a moat? Let's dig down instead of up.
There we go. That's some thinking.
Release all those toxic chemicals that have been stewing there for decades.
You wanna really unlock whatever is down there and bring it back to Earth. Yes.
And maybe this is another example of the think about the children thing, where it's like we just want to do something to feel like we did something, and like I just don't foresee this really being that helpful. And like it's like the will to go over the fence is still there, and I think people will figure out how to get over it.
Yeah, the intentions are good. The actual utility of such a project is still yet to be seen.
Yeah.
But, at this point, to be clear, still just a proposal. I don't know that there's been anything put towards it besides this new idea, but thank you, John Fleming, for getting us to think about what we should do and to talk about it.
Respect his hustle. I think we definitely need people like drawing up plans for stuff that no one asked for, just to see, just throw it up the flagpole. Let's find out. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's got to be your job as a public artist, right? You're just reimagining public spaces to be more colorful, more inviting, more uninviting, whatever it is that the situation needs. You want to be making something new and seeing if we can make it better. All right, let's leave it there for now. Brett Hamil, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good to be here.
Hannah Krieg, thanks as always for making me laugh.
Ah, stop. Thank you.
All right, listeners, we want to hear from you as well. Send us your news tips, your questions, your hot goss, your thoughts about what we should do at Gasworks by sending an email to seattle@citycast.fm. You can also text us or leave us a voicemail on the CityCast hotline at 206-880-3931. I just got to plug, I love getting texts from listeners. Like, we got one the other day that was just like, what is this guy's face on this mural? We're working on it, to the person who texted us. We don't know yet, but we're going to find out. All right. If you're enjoying the podcast, follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen so you never miss an episode. Even better, leave us a little review. It's really helpful. Or just like tell your friends about us. All right. And if you want to see this actual, say, the new fence that Fleming has proposed, we might be able to insert that here on YouTube. We have full episodes up there. You can see Brett, Hannah, and me chatting away. We're also on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at CityCast Seattle. And if you like getting news and events in your inbox, you can subscribe to our newsletter. Just go to seattle.citycast.fm. Until tomorrow, see ya, Seattle.